all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Warp Speed, and I do bid you do well of health and sane of mind. There will be some ado before we commence tonight's show. This evening is one that will be discussing a lot of other things besides the sport of boxing. In fact, I would say we will not be addressing anything boxing related in this here life. If you are privileged to see the screen before you, we will be talking about rocky relationships, the 21st Street Pandilla, and the passing of Mr. Brenton Wood. I would be remiss if I considered my words and my contributions to the world as great as Mr. Brenton Wood's, because my contributions are neither close to reaching the level of greatness that Mr. Brenton Wood did. And because of that, we will be interrupting today's introduction and the missive because we will play a very special edition, a very special and very rare version of the great crooner's song, and in fact, my favorite song of Mr. Brenton Wood, the song titled Great Big Bundle of Love. Ladies and gentlemen, you may not know this about Warp Speed, but I am a bit of a collector of things. I have a record collection of about 10,000 vinyl records. I purchased that collection from a person that was going to open up a record vinyl shop. I purchased him on the cheap, and I found a lot of treasures, jewels, and man, oh man, just some great music there. So, because of that, I do know a lot of music from all eras, all ages, rare, popular, whatnot. If you want to know anything about music, you come and talk to me. I might just have heard about it. I might lead you in the right direction. But because Mr. Brenton Wood was so influential, and because I loved the music that this man created, and because I am a Chicano, I'm a sucker for his music, we will be playing a rare version of that song. I'm not too sure if it'll come across clearly, but I'm still gonna go for it. If you do hear well, just let me know. Like Mr. Vince Vargas, just send me a live long and prosper hand sign. Throw up your hand sign and let me know that you're hearing this loud and clear. If not, well, say Luffy. But without further ado, we do have Miss Helen Gamboa's rendition of my favorite song of Mr. Brenton Wood, Great Big Bundle of Love. I hope you enjoy. I've got a big, big bundle of love, and I have saved it all for you. Oh, but I'm going to make a little playful. Honey, let your loving be true. You have the whole world wrapped up in your hands. I didn't want, indeed, a man. That's me. Oh, my darling, I love you. You don't know how much I do. Except a big, big bundle of love, and you're gonna see. See you through a chain of love with true affection. Honey, you'll never know what's in store for you. You have the whole world wrapped up in your hands. I didn't want, indeed, a man. Wow, now that was a heck of a song right there. Miss Helen Gamboa really went through on that song right there, really put it down for the Chicanos and for representing Mr. Brenton Wood's cover of that great song right there. Mr. Vince Vargas, I do hope you are doing well. And of course, to you too, El Pachuco, thank you very much for joining us on this here live today. It will not be discussing anything boxing related. We are going to be talking about rocky relationships, the 21st Street Pandilla, and of course, the passing of one of the most influential, probably one of the most popular artists in all of the Chicano movement, especially of the Cholo persuasion, Mr. Brenton Wood. Rest in peace to that gentleman right there. To address that comment of yours, Mr. Vargas, yep, absolutely. Mr. Rafi Pagan is, in fact, one of my favorite voices of all time. You know, he's one of the most unique voices that always moves me, right? Him, another fellow Fania artist, Mr. Joe Batan, the Afro Filipino, and of course, the Boricua, Ralphie Pagan. Those gentlemen, although they may not be Mexican Americans, they did so much for the lifestyle of the Chicano, especially again of the Cholo persuasion, right? The city of Salinas, like most other cities that are highly concentrated of Mexicans, Mexican Americans, and Chicanos, has had its gang problems. And of course, with the gangsters, the good and the bad, right? Mostly bad, I would say. But there is some camaraderie, some great moments between the, you know, the gangs between themselves, I would say, right? The cholos hanging out with each other, partying, hanging out, meeting the rucas, all of those things, right? There's some good things and some bad. But when I was hanging out with a certain few individuals, and in Salinas, you cannot escape it, guys. In Salinas, there's gangs everywhere, and they're long and established. And if you comport yourself with respect, for the most part, you'll be out of trouble. But then, of course, you got to understand, gangsters have to do their thing. Gangsters have a quote unquote job to do. And one of those things is to threaten, terrorize, beat down, bully you, take your money, take your shoes, whatever it is, right? If you're not from the gang, it's a type of social hazing, I guess we can say. I was fortunate enough to not necessarily get my butt beat too much by them folks, and I was able to beat a few of them. But I hung out with a few, and there was so many nights when we would listen to some firme oldies, some what they call gangster oldies. Most people just call it soul music. A lot of them, of course, are African American brothers, are blacks, some of the most beautiful voices, right? Mr. Al Green, Mr. Brenton Wood, Curly Myrick, and of course, Joe Batan. There's voices that move you like no other. And in the case of Mr. Brenton Wood, it wasn't necessarily his voice, although it was sweet like honey. It was his songs, the format that he wrote them in. Very short, tight, compact, cute, and very romantic, very honest. And if you are lucky enough, if you're fortunate enough to run into a couple of those very rare Brenton Wood interviews, he was a romantic in the true sense of the word. A romantic is a person that aggrandizes the commonplace, the everyday things. Like, for example, over here in Salinas, California, the salad bowl to the world, we have a lot of vast and lush greenery. We are surrounded by fields, lettuce, strawberries, you name it. If it grows from the ground and what doesn't, if it has roots, we toil, labor, harvest it, and maintain it. And a lot of the times you can drive down Highway 101 or Highway 56 or whatever you want to, 68, right? Whatever you want to take. And you'll see a lot of these Mexicans. And nowadays, you have people from all over the world, Salvadorians, Hondurans, people like that, toiling in the fields, the hot sun just blaring on their backs as they're hunched over, just sweating the big drop, then having to figure out how they're gonna bend themselves up again and straighten themselves out erect after being 8, 10, 12 hours in the bearing sun picking the fruit that you and I eat, right? A lot of people drive by these little fields and nobody pays these folks a mind. But a romantic, as he's driving down the highway, he would look out to the fields and he would see the verdancy of the pasture. He would see the brilliant colors of the lettuce, of the broccoli. He would see the brown faces. He would see the sun coming up from the mountains, the Santa Lucias or the pinnacles. And he would say, those people mean so much. Their lives must be so peaceful and beautiful and romantic. A romantic individual takes the little things and makes them big. And one of the things that Mr. Brenton Wood said about his songs, especially the titles, he said, I would take anything that happened in your life, the smallest little thing, the everyday things, and I would make that into a title. And I would start there. In other words, he was a very honest individual that was very astute and attentive to his surroundings. If somebody said, I have a great big bundle of love, he probably saw a person walking down the street like El Chavo del Ocho with his little stick and the little bundle of clothing on the top, homeless, walking down the street. And he looked at that person and he said, that person has all of his life in that little bundle right there. And he looked at his wife and he said, I have all of my love in this little bundle for you. Mr. Brenton Woods was a romantic. He may not have been the greatest of voices. Again, I agree with Mr. Vince Vargas. Ralphie Pagan was, goodness, wow, an incredible voice. But this man meant so much to anybody that's fallen in love. And I remember cruising down the boulevard, hanging out with the quote unquote homies as we would do drugs, hang out with the girls, listening to all of these beautiful oldies, a lot of them by Mr. Brenton Wood. In fact, you can just slap on a Brenton Wood CD, play it from front to back, and you wouldn't skip one song. You look at the girl that's in front of you, snort a line, kiss her lips, and then yell out anything that Mr. Brenton Wood said. Mr. Brenton Wood, you meant so much to so many, and we will miss you forever and ever. But we will catch you on the rebound, sir. Always a classy individual. Ladies and gentlemen, you may have heard about this already, but one of our fighters, Mr. Devin Haney, he's having some relationship issues. Oh goodness. We just had to make it about boxing, didn't we? Well, only in passing, guys. Only in passing, because I want to talk about relationships, right? Devin Haney, if you don't know this, he is now a married individual for about a year and a half now. He's been married to a lady, um, and he apparently has now brought a child into this world. Yep. Mr. Young David Haney, probably no more than 24 years of age, is a father. He's been married for a year, and he is married to a young lady by the name of Lena Sayed. Lena Sayed apparently is an artist in her own making, of course. She's, I guess, an Instagram model. Who isn't, right? All you have to do is just take a couple of pictures of your toes and you'll make money and call yourself an Instagram model. But she's also a member of something called Taz's Angels. You guys tell me if you guys know anything about this, right? But Miss Sayed, Lena Sayed, she apparently hooked up with young Devin Haney about a year and a half ago, and they kicked it off rather good. And before long, he got married, he being a Muslim, and he procreated with her, and she will be giving birth, if she hasn't given birth already, anytime soon, right? So you're probably, what's so rocky about that? What is so spectacular about it? Well, it seems like some footage has leaked of a prison video where this individual, Miss Lena Sayed, met with the rapper, I believe he is, or maybe he's just a gangster by the name of Young Thug. She went to visit this individual in jail. I guess he's in federal prison or something to that effect on racketeering, probably murder, drug charges, all those things that accompany a gang life, right? And in this video that's been making the rounds, she is crying for this individual, this Young Thug, right? She's crying and saying, I only want you, and all kinds of stuff. And of course, this is pretty embarrassing if you think about it, right? Because now she's married with Devin Haney. So, of course, everybody starts thinking, whoa, man, what did Devin Haney get himself into, right? Here we have his now baby mama. In fact, she's older than him, she's 32. His baby mama, she is crying over a guy, a gangster, no less, and a killer. Now, let me ask you guys something. Have you guys ever had a lady cry over you? Have you guys ever moved a lady enough where you've been so deep in this relationship that you guys go through your ups and downs? Maybe she does something that hurts you. Hey, God forbid, let's just say it, right? Let's say she's unfaithful or she does some other thing, but she knows she messed up and she's crying, trying to win you over, trying to convince you with her tears that she is regretful and wants to repent for what she has done, the pain that she has caused you. Has that ever happened to you guys? Has a lady ever cried for you? I'll give you a couple of seconds to answer that. No, huh? Yeah, well, I have. And when you're married, that happens more often than not. For the little things, bad things, whatever, it may not necessarily be all that grand, but tears are a common thing in most relationships. Okay, Mr. Vince Vargas says maybe we both cried. Yeah. See, that's a relationship right there, Mr. Vince Vargas. That is a relationship that's honest and truthful, right? Because what you guys had before the moment that you guys hurt each other or made each other cry was honest. That's why those tears flow from her face. That's why the tears must have flown from your face, Mr. Vargas. Because whatever changed that made you guys cry is something you guys are likely gonna separate from or leaving behind in the past, or you're trying to salvage it, right? But it means something. If they don't cry over you after they've hurt you, that's cold and cruel and calculating. If you hurt your beloved and you don't feel anything bad about it and you don't cry, was she ever your beloved? Or are you just cold as steel, cold as ice? I don't know, guys. I've cried. I think it's a common thing, right? But I may have only cried once because I always try to do right by my women, right? But here we're talking about Mr. Devin Haney. And this thug, this young thug, he's in prison, probably for some kind of accusations of drugs and killing or whatever. And the young thug was apparently going out with this individual, this Lena Sayed, right? She went to visit him, and she's crying her eyes over this guy, right? I'm trying to find the words, see if maybe I can find the exact words that she says, because it's very interesting. It's very interesting what she's telling them, right? Let me see if I could find it. Needless to say, you can just, you know, go over there and just say that she was crying. Without a doubt, that was a fact. She's crying her eyes out, and she's telling him, "I only want you. I miss you. I don't want nobody else." So, of course, if you take this out of context and you don't know when this video takes place and when young Devin Haney hooked up with Lena Sayed, then you're probably thinking, man, Devin Haney is a sucker. What a year it's been for Devin Haney, right? First, he goes over there and he has this lackluster sold pay-per-view with Ryan Garcia, and then that fight that was slowly sold, Devin Garcia drops him. He embarrasses him. Then it gets worse. He decides to sue Ryan Garcia for battery and for loss of wages and recompense. And then, of course, everybody starts tripping on him for saying those things. And instead of trying to get his comeuppance by beating him or taking on any kind of fight, he decides to just take a whole year off. And now he starts taking the brunt of all the shame and embarrassment because now people think that he doesn't have heart, that he quits, that he's diva, right? Whatever you want to say. And then all of a sudden, here we have this lady, his now baby mama, his wife, no less, crying over another man who's not a professional athlete, not a Muslim, not a person that decided to slap a ring on it. She's crying over a killer who's in prison for doing that and so much more, right? And in this video, she says, visibly emotional and teary eyed, she tells Young Thug, because all of these prison visitations, these conjugal visits, are recorded. She says, I don't like anyone. No one is like you. I don't like them. I only want you. That's what she says. And she starts to cry. And of course, Young Thug, always the gangster, he's looking at her. He's probably trying to see if her face seems regretful and hurt enough. And he says, "You just go on. You just go on." Right? And it said it. It's like probably an 18-minute video, but it set it into like 45 seconds. So who knows what else took place right there, right? I don't know who the scumbag was that released that video out there, but obviously he was trying to embarrass everybody from Young Thug to Lena Sayed and to Devin Haney, right? What a scumbag. Those things are supposed to be private. They're supposed to be prison material that is only supposed to come out in a due case of a lawsuit or a criminal case or otherwise. Whoever leaked it out is a scumbag, in my opinion. Those are personal matters, not only between Sayed and Young Thug, but of course Sayed and her now husband and baby daddy, Devin Haney, right? And of course, everybody's waiting on the reaction of Devin Haney. They want to see what Devin Haney is going to say about it, right? What do you guys think he said, guys? Do you think he got into a big old fight with his wife? Do you think he was embarrassed? Do you think he made the rounds? Do you think he went to Instagram to make these, grand accusations against Young Thug and call him this or say that? What do you think he did, guys? You guys know what he did? Well, he ended up buying her a very expensive vehicle, like a Maserati. A few days after it's not even a rumor. It's in fact video. This video surfaces of Limna Sayed crying over another man. He goes and purchases her a sporty, expensive race car. I ask you guys, was that the right move? Universal Boxing Establishment. I'm here, my friend, and I am also here. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. UBE. We're talking rocky relationships. We're talking 21st Street gangs. I don't know if you know what that is. And of course, the passing of Mr. Brenton Wood. But if you've been privy to what has been discussed so far, you may have become apprised of the fact that Devin Haney bought his wife and the mother of his child, 32-year-old Lena Sayed, a very expensive sports vehicle. This after just days before, footage leaks out of his wife crying over Young Thug. Right. I want to ask you guys something. Devin Haney's reaction, was that the right one, guys? Is he a sucker? Is he a punk? Is he a, I don't like to say bad words, but is he a CUCK? Is Lena Paul bad for him? Or should Lena Paul be given a second chance? Okay, well, UBE says, hell no, that's some simp ass shh. A CUCKOLD. Yeah, so UBA, okay, I had to do a little bit more research, right? Because it's all in the context, right? The context matters. You have to understand if these are fresh visitations, these conjugal visitations that Miss Sayed is having with Young Thug after Young Thug is in jail and she's married and just recently gave birth to one of Devin Haney's children. But yeah, in that case, I would say, man, Devin Haney, get yourself out of there. I hope you have a prenuptial agreement that if something like this happens, you don't give her squat, right? But I had to dig a little deeper because this channel, if anything, is about respecting our fighters, right? I would love to give Devin Haney any chances to excuse himself, right? I wanna I wanna give him any ability to say why did you choose this woman over any other woman? I mean, even when she started going out with this individual, all these people were coming to Devin Haney. They were saying, she's not for you, bro. She's for the streets. If you know what that means you don't settle for that one. The guys have to keep her. She's not for you. She's not for him. She's for the streets, right? And he ignored all that. He probably ignored the advice of his own father, Mr. Bill Haney. And he decided to give her an opportunity. And not only did he give her an opportunity, he slapped a ring on it. And then after slapping a ring on it, he did the right thing and he procreated with this individual, both of the Muslim faith. And now, of course, that's causing some problems between her, Young Thug, and Mr. Devin Haney. But it's also causing a lot of problems for Young Thug himself, right? Because Young Thug, he's also going out with somebody. Right? Oh man, these things are so complicated, right? I'm looking for this response of Young Thug, right? Young Thug, when this video surfaced, he stated, "Man, this is what she stated. That video was before I met my BD, baby daddy. I would never talk to Thug or any other man." And Young Thug also confronted the situation. He responded on X, and he says, "Man, me and Twin was talking about some whole other serious shh. I don't know why she spoke on loving other people or anything else." Right? Mr. Vince Fargas, second changer. Yeah, the UB says, very sinful, shameful, and Haney gotta grow some nuts. Okay, so he's a young thug, right? Young thug. He also has a lady that he's going out with, right? And he had to apologize for her. He's hooked up with an individual by the name of Mariah the Scientist. He's been with her since, man, this gets a little complicated, guys, because we're in 2025 now officially. He's been with Mariah the Scientist since 2021. Now, context being key and all, I will now tell you when this video was apparently recorded. This video was apparently recorded in year 2022, guys, which means that Devin Haney was nowhere in this picture. In fact, Devin Haney was going out with another individual by the name of China Black just a few months before he met Lena Sayed, right? So Lena Sayed is like 10 years older than Devin Haney, guys. She's like 35. And no, Lena Sayed is 32. China Black is 35. Devin Haney's like 25. He loves the older women, guys. So, hey, make of that what you will, right? But Lena Sayed met Devin Haney after Devin Haney and China Black parted. He was going out with China Black in 2021, left her close to 2022, maybe 22 and a half. This video was recorded by this individual in prison in midway 2022 before they really had met Devin Haney and Sayed. And she's crying for that guy there. He tells her, "Go ahead, you know what? You just move on." Because he's already in a relationship with Mariah, the scientist, right? He's obviously a player. He's probably going out with both. Let's just admit it. But she's crying for him, probably trying to win him over and strip him away from Mariah, the scientist. And it doesn't work out. Her tears are crocodile tears, apparently, to him. They break up. Devin Haney meets her afterwards. They date for 6 months, get married, and he pops a baby in her. Gave birth, I think, quite recently. So now I ask you, right? Is Devin Haney doing the right thing? Right? She was going out with him before she even met Devin Haney. She has nothing to do with Young Thug anymore, and is now legally married, and I would say even happily so, with Devin Haney. In fact, Devin Haney is so happy and content in the relationship that he is in that he bought her a multi-million-dollar vehicle for Christmas, even after this video surfaces. A video that should embarrass young Devin Haney. And what did Devin Haney say about the whole thing, guys? What did he go to you on Instagram or X to say? He didn't say nothing. Think about that. He doesn't fight with this lady. He doesn't address it. He doesn't say nothing bad about Young Thug. He just accepts that it happened before he met his wife. And I think that shows the level of maturity of Devin Haney, right? Devin Haney in the sport of boxing, he's moved like he really trusts himself, like he has this massive confidence, right? He'd been calling out Lomachenko. He'd been calling out Tank Davis. He took on Lomachenko. He took on George Cambosos. He took on Jorge Linares at a very young age. I think he fought Linares when he was like barely 20 years old, guys. And he's mature enough to accept that his baby mama had a past, that his baby mama had been in love with another man, a man that if you compare them, right? I don't know what kind of men you guys may be, guys, but I would say an individual that is of the faith, that is athletic, keeps his nose clean, doesn't have any criminal problems going on, and makes a hard earned money like you make it in boxing. I would want to be that guy over, let's say, Young Thug, a guy who has problems where people want to kill him, or he may be killing others, or he's selling drugs and poisoning his own people, or just popping babies all over with other women. I think the better man would be Devin Haney. And his response to the whole situation makes me sort of proud, right? Cuvole, carnal, says the Mexican G. Cuvole to you too, Mexican. Look, I'm going to tell you a story, and I hope nobody listening in, I won't mention no names. I never will. But when I was coming up, there was, again, there was some gangsters. This whole area is surrounded by gangs. And I was, I guess you could say, fortunate to know all of these guys since they were young, before they all parted ways and became different gangs. We had quite some serious gang problems here in Salinas. For a few decades now, but about a decade or two back, it was quite bad. But when I was a child, I grew up with all of these guys that eventually they ended up parting ways, developing two separate gangs that were bitter rivals, and they went on it for a very long time. But once they were all friends, right? But some of them were my neighbors, and there was this one guy that was going out with this girl, a neighbor of mine. I never really talked to her or nothing like that because she lived on the opposite corner. But she, I had nothing bad to say about her because I didn't get involved with her at all whatsoever, right? But I remember when that friend was starting to go out with her, all of the other guys, all of the guys, they were telling them the same thing. Bro, you can't go out with her. She's not for you. She's for the streets. And since I never knew nothing about her, right? I never knew her to be like that. They were saying that she was totally wrong from because every single one of those guys in that gang had been with her. This guy, instead of being dissuaded to continue on that relationship, he takes it one step further. He makes her his girlfriend. He gets her impregnated. Now everybody's like slapping their forehead, like, what a Dumbass. Like, what did he do? What did he do? Why did he do that? That's like, you ruined it for everybody, right? It's what I'm thinking. You ruined it for everybody. If she was for everybody, she was for the streets, right? He just took that one. He took the one girl that parties with everybody, and you can rely on for some of that, some of that happy, right? And he takes her, and everybody, to me, it seemed like everybody was mad, but they were acting like they were concerned about him, like, man, you messed up, she's gonna cheat on you, she's probably gonna come with me one of these other days, she's probably gonna hop on with homie, I don't know, Pee Wee or whatever, right? And yeah, like the Mexican G says, trying to turn a hoe into a housewife. Exactly, that's what they were trying to say to him. You messed up. You made her. You dated her instead of just clapping, right? You didn't just date her. You made her a girlfriend. You're walking down the street holding her hand, right? And everybody's just looking at you like, what a like the Mexican cheese says, what a what a guy, right? And then he gets her pregnant, and I was like, oh man, right? These guys are like, oh, you really messed up. And what does he do? He fights one. He says something about her. He fights one. It was a very good fight, by the way. Very good fight. I think he won. I think he won, right? And then another guy, he has the gall, he has the indecency to say the same thing in front of him. And this time, he just one punch knockout, just hit that guy. Boom. From there on out, the word spread. He's he's down for his lady. He's down for his ruka. And whether we like it or not, she is no longer ours. She is no longer for the street. And she is a homie. We have to respect that. That's his ruka. Ruka means lady. That's his haina. That means that's his girl, right? And everybody had to stop that whole nonsense. And of course, everybody expected the worst. Everybody expected, like the Mexican G says, that the hoe would never be a housewife. And we thought it would break up in 6 months, a year. It's been about 25 years, guys, maybe 30. And they're together. Family, kids, a home. I've never been judgmental. And I couldn't judge her nor him because I didn't know her personally like that, right? And I had a lot of respect for him before he met with this girl. And I was just letting them have their conversations, right? Because I would never call any man going out with any lady anything. I'm not going to get involved in your relationship. In fact, if anything, I'm going to wish you the best. If you found love, or if that's love in your eyes, I'm happy for you, right? As a big hippie, love means so much to me. And it seemed that he was in love. And he never had any problems with me, and I never said nothing bad. But he took her from the streets and he made her a housewife. Look, guys, have you guys ever had a virgin? Be honest now. Don't mess around. And know we're in the Instagram or in the YouTubes, and you can lie and you can tell me you're 6'2", 210 pounds. You can tell me whatever you want. But I just want you to be honest with yourself. Have you ever had a virgin? Or did having a virgin mean so much to you? Okay. The Mexican cheese says no. The Mexican cheese also says, I don't take no leftovers. I need a firme, Jaina. Yep. UBE says Crub, Dr. Dre 2001 album, a classic. A classic. In fact, I'm not too sure if you know this, but 2001, uh, there was going to be another album called 2001, Dr. Dre. And I think Suge Knight retained the rights to that number 2001 after he let go of Dr. Dre. So Dr. Dre, he couldn't title the next album that he had. I forget what it was in the way that he wanted to because Suge Knight said, "Nope, I claim that." And you know, if you mess with Suge Knight, you you get the horns, if you know what I mean, right? But yeah, that's a funny little tidbit right there. Never popped the cherry. Okay, UB says he never did, right? Okay, I did, and it wasn't a good experience. Now I have to lower the tone of my voice for many reasons, right? But from that moment, right, it was a very unpleasant uh, experience. I think it was for her as it was for me, right? Um, I've I pride myself, ladies and gentlemen, in being a gentleman, and in the word, if you listen to it, gentleman, right? So that I never liked to have sex. God, I don't like to Fuck. I've always loved to make love, right? So I could never be a dog. I could never be with many women, right? Just shack up real quick, call it a day, and move on. No, no, no. Because the type of man I am, I like to hug and cuddle, kiss, and hold hands. You can't really do that with a stranger because sometimes they're the ones that are just like, just get it over with, right? So I would have to develop some kind of a relationship or like uh, these ladies before any consummation of our passion and interest in each other, right? But because that wasn't a gentle experience, I never really cared for that afterwards. So I never would judge an individual for having gone out or marrying anybody that had a sexual past even before they met him, right? And in the life that we live, guys, listen, don't we make women hoes? Don't we rap about it? Don't we tell them we want them to do this or do that, be nasty? How do you think they get nasty, guys? Well, through experience. How do they get that experience? How do they know that's what we want? Because we rap about it in songs. We want the hoes. We want to have sex with hoes. And then once we want to marry, we want to find that one virgin that never listened to a rap song, that never grew up thinking that being the hoe is the way to get the guys. I mean, it is so ironic, guys, that we want a virgin in the world where we just talk about hoes. We rap about hoes. We've never rapped about a virgin. When was the last time anybody said dedicated a rap song to a virgin? I don't know. Maybe Common. I think maybe Common when he was going out with Erica Badu or something. Maybe Common was saying something like that. But otherwise, we have engendered a problem of our own creation. We've manifested a world where women have so many rights and freedoms, including of the sexual kind, that they want to match our energy. If you want to be a ultra sexual individual, so do I. Devin Haney, think about it. Why would he go out with older women? Well, because they're more experienced, right? That meant he needs that woman to have a sexual past in order to please him how he wants to. He doesn't want to deal with childish women that are inexperienced in the bed, like the women of his age. He wants somebody that'll teach him, or since he's an athlete, match his energy, his stamina, right? Makes sense to me. The older women will look after the young men. The young women will look after the old man. So, with that being said, guys, I just wanted to conclude that insofar as you're in love and the feelings are mutual, you should be able to forgive your beloved for any kind of past that they may have, like Devin Haney did, like I have before, right? In fact, I'm not too sure how old you guys are, but I will say this: never ask any women, and if there's women here listening in, never ask a man about their sexual past. When you meet an individual, just like you meet anybody on the street, they're a clean slate, right? You should not expect that the next man should disrespect you. You should not expect to get away with disrespecting them back. Nothing like that. If you see a stranger on the street, you should not expect or consider them to be your enemy. They're a stranger. They could be a friend. They could be, in the case of the opposite sex, your lover or your future wife, right? We have to mature in what we want. And it all starts from us. Yes, it all starts from us. We have to be who we want to be for others, just like we want to be for ourselves, right? So that we are able to identify whether or not those people that we want to be with are being what you want them to be for you. But to keep it simple, if you don't want to deal with a bad woman, treat that woman with respect. Don't ask about their past. Don't worry about what size the ex boyfriend schlong was. Don't worry about that. Worry about what you're going to do with her. How are you going to be happy with her? Right. And when I heard this whole thing about Devin Haney and I saw these comments, I was like, man, we are so harsh and judgmental and unforgiving. And I'm thinking, imagine if any of the women that had gone out with refused to go out with me because I had intimate moments before. If we thought the same way, I would never have gotten married, right? We have to change the way of thinking. If you want a housewife, guess what that means, guys? That means the Mexican G, UBE, Mr. Vince Vargas, El Pachuco, and myself, and anybody else that hears this, we have to man up and make ourselves better. And that includes financially. Because in this day and age, things are very pricey. Inflation is, goodness, at record levels, right? Some of us men, we may have to take on two, maybe even three jobs, or get ourselves better educations and open up opportunities in order for us to get better paid if you want to have your wife stay at home. And if you cannot do that and she has to take on a job, you should partially take that as an acceptance that it is that reality of things that we have now changed as a society to the point that even if we wanted a more traditional household where the women stays at home raising the children and educating them while you and I work hard to bring bread to the table, that tradition, that era has passed and now it's a reality that both of us have to work, or you may just have to work even more so, right? Or if she's going to have to work, you have to make sure you can keep her happy in a way that she will not take those interactions with men or even women in this modern day and age to open up doors for infidelity or problems of jealousy or distrust, right? When your beloveds come home, tell them you love them. Tell them that every day. Tell them they mean the world to you. Tell them that you will never be a happy man without them in your life. Make sure that they feel your love through your words and back it up with your actions so that if they have to work and interact with other men, women, or what other people may tempt them to infidelity, that they remember your words to say, yeah, he's cute. Yeah, she's cute. But I have a man that loves me. And make sure, guys, make sure that your bed game is on point, right? Just be open. Talk to them. What do you like? What moves interest you? Know them mentally. Know them physically. and please them. I've been married with the same woman for close to 25 years now, guys. I'm not trying to brag or boast or nothing like that. It hasn't been, you know, easy. I met my wife when she was pretty young, about 6 years older than her, so I had more experience than her. So I was able to like be more reserved and mature in our relationships. But she met me in my energy. She equaled that, and we were able to work it out, right? But it's all about communication, guys. And I kid you not, love is so wonderful, guys. So wonderful when you find the right one that you can go through the ups and downs of life, poverty, hardship, death, heartbreaks, and still be together. Bringing children into the world, raising them together is a special homework. So I want and wish that for everybody, right? Yeah, UBE says this channel's awesome. AF respects Spock. Well, thank you very much. I hope that you are enjoying it, UBE. I really appreciate you. I appreciate people that come over here and engage, and you are always engaging me. You're always commenting, and that makes it all worthwhile, to tell you the honest truth. So, thank you. In fact, because I respect each and every one of you that takes time to chime in and comment and engage me, because if you guys didn't do it, I wouldn't be here. I would not be having this dialogue, this conversation with you all. UBE says, I'm single, been single for the last 2 years. And UBE, are you looking for somebody, or are you single, you know, purposefully? Are you setting out to do something for yourself before you settle down, or what has your life been like in the past few years? I'm always interested in other people's lives. Like, for example, I'm in a very small town. I don't know anything else from the world, guys. I've never traveled. I've never gone to up north. I've never gone down south. When I was much younger, my parents took me to Mexico for a month, a couple of times. Otherwise, I've never been anywhere. I traveled one time up into Oregon to visit a sibling of mine. But otherwise, guys, the world, as far as I know it, is a small town of 200,000 people, right? And every time I engage with somebody from another part of the world, I ask them, how's life over there? Sometimes I run into people and they talk to me and they tell me that they've been here, they've been there, they've been to Japan, China, Hawaii, and I'm fascinated about what they have to say. I've met people that looked like me, spoke like me, but they lived in New York. And I asked them, how did you end up in New York? Those stories of our differences have always intrigued me. I don't know why. I don't regret nothing. I don't find my lifestyle boring. I mean, very simple. I mountain bike. I listen to old African American music. I watch boxing. I play baseball with my son. I help train my other one. Today I was teaching my daughter how to invest in the stock market. Very simple little things like that. But maybe that's why I love to hear about other people's stories, because I always want to look for a reason to say that my life sucks, and in order to make something more out of it. But when they tell me these stories, I never get encouraged enough to go. I don't have no interest in knowing about Hawaii. I don't have no interest in knowing about Japan or New York. Just a small little town guy, I guess. But it still doesn't stop fascinating me, the lives that other people live. I guess maybe we're just trying to connect like that. Maybe that's why I started this channel, guys, just to connect with others and hear more about you guys, know more about what the world has to offer. Because God knows that I've been isolated. UB says, yeah, man, I've been a major player my whole life, just giving it a break. That's that's a good thing too, though, right? Being a player, right? Because you get to meet other women, meet many women, and know what you like, know what women are like, the good, the bad, and one day those experiences of going out will help you find the right woman. UBE. I may not have dated too much, right? But in all my prior relationships, I learned a lot so that I could find the right woman for me. In fact, you may not know this, guys, but the day that I met my wife, I told her the very first day, guys, she laughed at me. I told her, I'm going to marry you. And she started to laugh. We were at a party. I just met her right there at a party. She was starting to laugh and everything. I said, you laugh ahead. Go on and laugh whatever you want. But you're going to be my wife. And my buddy was telling me the same thing. It's like, man, you're crazy. You can't be talking like that. She's not going to be your wife. You just met her. But I knew deep down in my heart that I was not going to let this one go. I was not going to let this girl pass me by, that I was going to be with her for the rest of my life. So far, my words have panned out to be true, and I always keep my word. So if my wife and we don't last all of my life, it'll be because I died first, or she died first, or she left me. But it's not going to be because I left her. The Mexican, she says, I want to see the world. Unfortunately, I've only been out of California once. Look, the Mexican, I know you're younger than me. You have so much opportunities to see the world. Never give up on that. I encourage you to go out there. I fear that I may die before I see the world. I think we all will. The world is so vast, Mexican. It really is. Just pick out a few places that interest you. Don't try to overwhelm yourself with trying to do it all. Just contemplate and think, what are the essentials? What will make you whole? And stick with those things. In my case, living a small, little, simple life in a small town with one woman, that was enough for me. For you, it may just be taking a few trips to Canada, Hawaii, maybe just three or four little things, and that'll be it. And that's fine, right? We don't have to be globetrotters. But if you can be, well, I wish that on you. UB says, "Oh yeah, bro, that's deep." Yeah, well, hopefully it is. We're gonna talk about gangs, guys. I know the Mexican G, if I'm not mistaken, he's from San Diego. I know there's a lot of gangs over there. In Salinas, we have gangs. I'm not too sure where you're from, UBE, but I'm sure that there's gangs where you're from. I know Mr. Vince Vargas, he lives in the city of San Jose, California. We have gangs over there also. And I'm sure over there in the great state of Texas, if El Pachuco's still here, he will let you know that, yep, especially in the border towns, we have gangsters, right? The Mexican cheese says, I want to see Japan. I want to see the pyramids in Mexico. Yeah, that'd be beautiful. Yeah, actually, those two places I'd like to be in. Yeah, yeah, not SD. Okay, yeah. So I was watching this movie, guys. I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna ask you, right? Before I before I start talking about gangs, right? Absolutely, yeah. Well, it's good that you're alive, UB, because it's like when you're surrounded by gangs, just imagine the levels of conflict and the survival rate decrease by being surrounded by hard men and hard women in hard situations, right? Because that's really what it is to be in a gang. Hard men and hard women willing to get themselves in hard situations and make it hard for themselves and make it hard for others, and to see who wins that game. But I ask, why do people get in gangs? You know, cliques, pandillas, you know, why do people get in gangs? I'm sure that there's a lot of reasons. right? Some guys just want to look cool with the clothing that is indicative of gang attire. Some people want to throw gang signs because it looks cool. You know, it does. It does. That's why all the rappers, they always throw fingers, right? Even if they're just doing whatever, it looks cool when you're throwing gang signs, right? The attire looks cool, right? The Mexican American gangsters, the Chicanos, were heavily influenced by African American soul singers and suit suitors. So when people say the Chicano attire, the Cholo attire, the creased Dickies, the open, the shirted Pendletons, and all of those things, a lot of that, our African American brothers were dressing like that, performing on stage. And because the brown man has always loved the black man, we saw them to be cool, and we incorporated that into our own lifestyle. Black people ended up evolving from those looks, but the browns always kept it. But blacks and browns and whites were so similar, right? Because we know what cool is. We know how tough looks like. And we want to be like that. I know some guys that will only get into gangs just for the drugs. Other people that will get into gangs just for the PUSSY. Yep. Some people actually grow up in gangs. Like UB says, for some people, it's family tradition. Others do it for backup. Others do it because they're just violent to nature or it's in their environment. So many reasons. Exactly. It's hard to get out of gangs once you're trapped in that spider's web, right? And let's admit it, some do it for survival. In fact, I was watching this movie. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen it. It's a very famous movie. It's called Colors. It's a gang movie. It's a action movie drama about the gangs in Los Angeles. Predominantly the Crips and the Bloods, but there was this, I don't know what you call it. It was in the Mexican American gang. It was like it was a gang, but it wasn't of Mexican Americans. It was a gang, fictional gang, by the way, called the 21st Street Gang, right? And you would think that they were the Brown Gang, right? Because you could not make a movie of gangs of LA without bringing any kind of brown faces in there. Yeah, 21st Street. Yeah, that's right. UBE. There, it was a fictional gang, and it was composed of blacks and whites and browns. And so there's this section, apparently, according to that movie, right? There's this section where this area's predominantly Crip, this area's predominantly Blood, and 21st Street Gang is jammed up right in between these guys, these two warring factions, right? And he's the main character. I forget what his name is. Red Bradford. I think he's the guy that came out as the consigliere in the Godfather movies, right? Maybe you guys know that actor. He's an older gentleman. Um, oh my goodness, I'm researching it right now, guys. Uh, Cast. Let's see. Goodness, they're keeping him way at the end. Wow, they didn't even put him like that. What scumbags? How are you guys gonna neglect somebody like that? My goodness, they're not gonna actually mention who the actor was. Oh yeah, Robert Duvall. Yep, Robert Duvall was in fact a consigliere for the mafiosi in the Godfather movies, right? Robert Duvall's character, his name was Officer Bob Hedges. He's on this patrol with his in the very first day with Sean Penn's character Danny McGavin. Danny McGavin is this hot-headed new rookie that's just full of energy, and he doesn't care about these gangs, and he just hates him. And of course, the other guy, his uh, Hodges, the veteran, Bob Hodges, he's a couple of months away from retiring. Right? Yeah, Pac-Man. Yeah, they call him Pac-Man. The Mexican G. Yep, you got it, Pac-Man. No, we're not talking about the words. We're talking about colors, but it's very similar to that. Pac-Man is played by Sean Penn. Bob Hodges is played by Robert Duvall. And Robert Duvall's character is telling Pac-Man, "Look, man, you have to talk with these gangsters. You have to respect them in order for you to respect them, for them to respect you, right? Because you have to develop a rapport. You approach these guys, you approach them with respect and understanding that sometimes these people are born into these situations or they must get themselves into these situations in order to thrive and survive. And you just do your job. Yes, do you have to shoot them, arrest them? Yeah, you do sometimes. But for the most part, you're just doing your job. Don't take it personally, is what he's trying to say. And of course, Pac Man is saying, no, these guys are scum of the earth. I don't have to take your orders. Of course, I'm going to take this personally because these guys are terrorists. And the other guy's thinking more like, man, it's not necessarily that they want to be terrorists, just that they have no alternative. And he starts to explain about the 21st Street Gang. The 21st Street Gang is basically enveloped by these two rival factions, and they have to go in through one gang area to get to the other gang area, and they're nestled in between. So he tells them these guys have to basically fight themselves in and out. And that's why, in order to survive, right, they have to fight all of these guys. And I was like, okay, that's very interesting, right? And that sort of makes sense, right? It- because the 21st Street Gang, when you looked at what they were composed of, the 21st Street Gang was actually composed of browns, blacks, and whites. There was one of the leaders was a big, tall black guy. The other leader was this shorter Mexican guy. And you saw this big old tall lanky white guy, and then you saw another tall lanky black guy, and you saw a couple of females and a couple that were white and Mexican, and they were just a mishmash of colors, right? And that fascinated me. Yeah, yeah, that's right. He could have been Canelo, exactly. In fact, I believe he came out in another movie. I think he was The Hills Have Eyes or Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Oh no, wait, The Children of the Corn. I guess he came out in The Children of the Corn as he was a little guy, but he grew up to be a red-headed gangster, hanging out with blacks and browns on the 21st Street Gang, and he talks about how they formed, and that was I really thought that they was very interesting, guys, uh, because that really makes sense to me, right? Like for example, let me see if I can play this little part. See, 21st Street on that list. Oh fuck, there's a professional victim. Their ass kicked constant. Kind of a mixed game. So you got the Diamond Street down at the Ville Project down to the west, so they got to fight their way in, fight their way out. Fucked up. You see, guys, they have to fight their way in to make it home and fight their way out when they want to leave their barrio, their ghetto, right? And as it is with destiny, you don't know what your parents are gonna procreate. Like imagine this red-headed white kid. Somehow his parents end up surrounded by blacks and browns, right? And then these black guys, instead of growing up in the areas where there's more predominant black folk and the Crips from the blood side, they are raised in an area where there's enough browns, and then there's enough browns that are having a hard time that they're living around blacks. And what happens every single day? that they aren't Crips or Bloods, they always get their behind beat. So what happens with these guys? They gather together just for the purpose of survival. They have to fight their way in and out of their own home in order to survive. So blacks and browns and whites get together in order to survive. And I was thinking to myself, right? Because today somebody accused me of being, I guess he was trying to insinuate that I was, I don't know, biased against blacks and pro brown, right? This new person goes into my channel and he starts commenting. He's like, why are you making fun of Abdullah Mason? And you calling him chinny, and yet you didn't say anything about Virgil Ortiz. And he goes, how come you said this about Shushu Carrington? And how come you didn't say this about Jaime Munguia? And I was thinking to myself, whoa, 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 whoa. The only common thing that you're bringing up here in these two accusations is that I am being lax and considerate of the brown fighters and being harsh and critical about the black ones. I was like, whoa, I've never looked at it like that, right? Because I've been a fighter. My children fight. And once you fight, you learn to respect people because it doesn't matter what color they are. You're not going to fight any lesser when you're a Mexican American fighting a Mexican American. You're not going to go harder against a black man just because you're brown. You're going to fight tooth and nail to survive regardless in the respective of what their color is, their race, or creed, or nationality. You're here to fight, right? And we win some and we lose some, and that's how we have been able to earn and grant each other respect. I'm the first to admit that an individual like myself, a brown man, a lot of my life has been directly influenced by black African American culture. And I say that with pride. I say that with the most high admiration for our black brothers. In fact, if we want to extend it even further, the United States of America as a nation and its contribution to the world at large would suffer without the great contributions of our black brothers. That's a goddamn fact. So when this person came over here and tried to insinuate it, I would say, whoa, 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 you're reading too much into these things, man. Shushu Carrington lost that fight against that African, and it was a boring fight. That's it. And Jaime Munguia's fight, he got knocked out, and I never said anything good about that. In fact, I don't even think I made a video about it, right? Abdullah Mason, I start off by saying that Abdullah Mason is my favorite prospect. In fact, to tell you the truth, I've always said that I see a lot of him and his potential to be as great as his next, to be the next Terrence Bud Crawford. I've only said good things about these guys. I don't look at it as black or brown. Why? Because I've met people from all over. My own people, a lot of the times, my brown people, have been some of my detractors. And in fact, if you look at my numbers, my, what do you call it? The, my demographics or whatever, the majority of people that visit and subscribe to this channel are blacks. Man, you think I'm gonna say anything bad about them if they're showing me love? The reason they're doing that is because they know I'm being honest and I'm showing them love. But I'm not gonna cap for a brown man. I'm not gonna cap for a black man either. I'm just gonna speak the truth. And in fact, all these reaction videos, I'm not even the one doing them, guys. Why are you guys accusing me of these things? Right? I'm just posting them up. But I really reflected on that movie about 21st Street Gang, and I was thinking, wow, this is the perfect gang. Think about it. They joined the gang because they wanted to survive. And they weren't gonna be discriminatory or, God forbid I'll say it, racist towards each other. off of simple things like the skin color, because the brown man could not afford to be racist against the black man when he needed his support in order to survive. The white man couldn't be racist against the black man because he needed to survive. They got together to survive, and they disregarded color and their lingo to become one. I thought that was very beautiful. When I saw that, I was like, man, these guys get it down pat, right? This ain't no Mexican gang. This ain't no black gang. This is a gang of humans that are congregating to survive. And then I started to think about, why do people form gangs, right? And we can even push it even further, guys. Addy Medi, good even fought to you. Good even fought to Addy Medi. Let's see what it says. Yeah, that was the part where the kids throw the rocks at. Yep, yep, that is correct, UBE. That's where the kids throw him, and it turns out to be the main character. Well, the Mexican gangster's name was Frog, and it turns out to be his little brother, the one who throws the rock. And then, in fact, his little brother is jumped in into the gang. Eventually, it was pretty raw, pretty raw to see that part right there. But that's exactly that movie. Cartoon and Rana. There you go. Cartoon and Frog were the leaders of 21st. That's right. Want Mario Lopez in colors? I don't know. I didn't met it good even for you. Who's going to win, Jay Opataya or David Beach Niyika? Well, oh my God. Come on, Eddie Medi. He says, so Devin Haney joined the Diddy gang to survive? Makes sense now. In fact, Eddie, we just discussed Devin Haney just maybe about 30 minutes ago. That whole fiasco, the whole situation with Young Thug and Devin Haney and Helena Sayed. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. I don't know if you think Devin Haney is a sucker or he's a cuckold, like UBE says, or if maybe he's a man that deserves our respect and admiration for having forgiven and forgiven and stuck to his lady and making it work, you know. But if you think about it, guys, gangs should be formed not because of liaisons and associations, because of our skin color. They should be formed because of class and those kind of distinctions of class, right? Lower class, middle class, the upper class. That's really the gist of the problems. It's not so much that the blacks and the browns should be fighting because they're different color. They should unite if a higher level class is belittling them, destroying them, right? It's class warfare. And the 21st Street Gang taught us that. It was class warfare. They were able to overlook their differences, especially of color, in order to survive. Because as an impoverished class, they wanted to just make it out alive. Hopefully, hopefully, to make it out alive enough to learn from their mistakes and move on to, let's say, a middle class lifestyle, get out the ghetto and move on closer to the suburbs. Who knows what they wanted? But that's when I realized that the 21st Street Gang represents what, if anything, should be the proper development of a gang. The disregard of color because of commonalities, especially those financial and class based ones, in order to survive. And it doesn't seem that way. Blacks, kill browns, kill whites, browns, kill whites, kill blacks, kill browns, whites, kill whites, kill blacks, kill browns. And they do it even though they're the same class. Man, no wonder all of these technocrats, these overlords, these masters of the universe manipulate us like they do. Because we're suckers. We want to aggrandize death and hatred instead of aggrandizing peace and love, separation over unity, isolation over survival. Peace, love, unity, and respect is something nary ever discussed with the proper reverence that it should. But as long as the beat is cool, I guess we can consent to having our brothers talk about killing each other. As long as DJ Khaled made the beat, we'll consent to having our artist talk down about our women and call them hoes. And then we complain about why we don't have any good women to choose from. Goodness. Yeah, Eddie Medi, which gang are you referring to? He's talking about the gang from the movie Colors, the 21st Street Gang. Yeah, I'm sure that you've seen that movie. It's a classic, and I just thought, man, that was so cool seeing blacks and browns and whites together to survive, not seeing blacks and browns and whites and browns and blacks against each other trying to kill each other. The complete opposite. The complete opposite. It was just pretty cool. I hadn't seen that movie since I was a kid, and it was on Tubi, one of those free TV, movie platforms for a couple of weeks. I finally got to watch it. I was so very excited, and I saw that, and I was like, man, that reminds me a lot of like those gangs from down south and especially up north where I live, where they weren't dressed in colors, right? You know that they were from the north, or you knew that they were from the south, but they didn't really care too much about the color, red or blue. It was more about the hood, right? You walked in there, and if you were a stranger, they jammed you up and asked you where you were from. They were trying to protect and defend their neighborhood. That was the whole thing about it. But then somebody decided to popularize distinguishing ourselves even more so by colors. Now you don't even have to ask where you're from. You can just say, "Oh, you're wearing red. Boom, boom, boom. Let me take you out. One for my team." The UB says lost two boxing deaths. Paul Bamba and some black man from Africa forgot his name. Yeah, Paul Bamba. Man, I still don't know what happened to him. He was 33 years of age, if I'm not mistaken. He broke Mike Tyson's knockout record, 14 knockouts in 1 year. Mike Tyson's had 13. That was very early in his career, right before and maybe even during that same time, he became the youngest heavyweight champion of all time, if I'm not mistaken. But Paul Bamba died. Puerto Rican fighter. I did get to see him fight. I think I got to see him fight in one of the MVP cards. He was a Boricua, and I don't know what happened to him. Yeah, still no confirmation from autopsy. And this is why, this is why, guys, we talk about these fighters like we do in this year's show. Because death, it's a reality. It'll happen to you, it'll happen to me, right? But we want to avoid death as much as possible. And what do our fighters do, guys? They walk forward towards death every single time they get in the ring. Every punch that lands on their body, on their face, creates a slow death. We talk about these fighters with the respect and reverence that we do because we admire their valor, we admire their courage. And of course, in Paul Bamba, he walked into the ring time and time again, facing death. He did not meet it there in the ring. And thank God, because when they meet it in the ring, it shocks us boxing fans to the core. Luckily, we were spared whatever happened to him by him not dying in the ring, and he died where we could not see him. Hopefully, it was not a violent death. Hopefully, it was peaceful. But we do, of course, wish Paul Bamba sweet and precious, patient travels through the cosmos as he meets his maker or makers. Paul Bamba, rest in peace, young warrior. You will be missed, and we will miss especially the could have beens. Eddie Medi says we don't have to worry about these current fighters dying in the ring. They ain't fighting nobody anyways. Cough, Tank, Boots, Canelo, Shakur, etc. Yeah. Yeah, Eddie Medi. We need your comedic influence, man. We need that comedy break, right? Sometimes I can take this stuff too serious, but I'm serious about the sport, guys. I'm serious about making our world a better place, right? Really, I do. So, 21st Street Gang, guys, the perfect gang, in my opinion, right? If there ever was one. And now, of course, Mr. Brenton Wood. I talked a little bit about Brenton Wood. Right, he passed away January the 2nd, current year 2025, the year of our Lord. I was uh, I was fortunate enough, I guess you can say, that I have a lowrider car. I have quite a few lowrider cars, but not not all of them run. But one of them does, guys. And I was lucky enough to get the news. I guess if that's what the way you want to phrase it, to get the news that Brenton Wood had passed away, and I gathered my children, opened up the doors to this land boat, and it was a dark, cold night in the city of Salinas. You know what that means? That means nobody took out their lowrider cars. Right? These classic vehicles, almost always perfectly kept. People don't take those cars out just any other day. They take them out when the sun is nice and pleasant, when they're out to celebrate something. So what did I do? I cranked on my vehicle. I raised the volume very, very loud, and I cruised all through the city. And my car was the only one cruising low and slow. 45, 50 miles an hour, I was doing 25 because I wanted everybody to hear the sweet sounds of Mr. Brenton Wood. I wanted people that know Mr. Brenton Wood, that knew he passed away. I wanted them to know that I was cruising on his behalf in grief and in honor of the great and classy fella. The people that were out on that cold, dark night in Salinas, California, they got to see my vehicle, the only one, cruising down the boulevard, playing the sweet sounds of our fallen legend. Think about it, guys. It was my honor to be the only vehicle cruising in my city playing Brenton Woods songs at full blast for a person whose lifestyle, for the most part, is composed of working on old cars, restoring American muscle, painting them artistically, selecting music cautiously, dressing up all dapper to have my family alongside me to show the power and the blessing of being together and in love. That moment means so much to me. If I had ran into any other lowrider cars, it would have been great. I would have given out a peace sign to them. Maybe, if they showed me enough respect, I may have even thrown them the Vulcan hand salute. But the peace sign will do. If I throw the Vulcan hand salute, guys, right here in Salinas, they might think I'm throwing gang signs. I can't afford having police head in my way with everybody that I love in my car, right? But it was a very special moment to commemorate, celebrate the music of Mr. Brenton Wood. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not too sure what I wanted to do here. I guess I just wanted to show a little bit of respect and admiration for the generation that is still helping to raise Devin Haney. Because, and Devin Haney, he may not have been my favorite fighter, Vasily Lomachenko, but he did good. He may be suing the crap out of Ryan Garcia in the cowardly move, raising charges of battery and whatnot. But as far as him treating his woman right and trying to bring a child into this world, so far it seems Devin, the Dream Haney, is conducting himself as a mature, responsible, gentle man. I respect that. When addressing the 21st Street gang, I guess I was just inspired, especially with these accusations from one of these commenters that I had today. I was inspired to express my admiration for our black and white brothers as a brown man myself, and to explain how I think we have to overlook these differences, those of color, to find the commonalities in order to thrive and live in harmony. And of course, in addressing Mr. Brenton Wood, this was my remembrance, my condolences for him and his family, because he will be forever missed. He really, really did change my life for the better. Yeah, Mexican G, he is conducting himself as a bitch outside of his personal life, in his professional life. Absolutely, he is suing. I don't know what to make of it, but hey, I mean, what can we say, right? I mean, he is a bitch for that move, but Ryan Garcia is also a scumbag, right? Big scumbag in my eyes. But yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure conversing with you all. You may notice that there is a logo right there in that corner. It says it's powered by StreamYard. What does that mean, ladies and gentlemen? That just means that I don't have $35 to spend on StreamYard in order for me to invite more people, or maybe show more images. There's a lot of different things, and it also means that I'm limited to a max of 2 hours per live. So maybe that's the reason why I was trying to be more concise. You know me, I can bloviate and talk, and man, and what you call in Spanish a cotorro, a chatterbox, right? I hope I didn't bore you too much, but it was fun. I just wanted to hang out some cool people I can always rely on. My people are always cool. I'm very fortunate to have you guys. Everybody knows that. Eddie Medi, he's uh he's absolutely crucial when it comes to the comedic element. Man, that guy right there. I don't know if he's a stand-up comedian, but he's awesome. Mexican G, we need him because the Mexican, he's actually been working as the wrench recently. Every time and he's also trying to match your energy too, Adi. He's very funny, man. So you guys could probably go together on tour and just like, you know, Richard Pryor and George Carlin, the world, the modern day comedic masters. And of course, you've always been commenting and making this all worthwhile. So thank you very much for coming over here, showing respect. Always, and in fact, guys, if you guys can check out UBE's channel, there's a couple of channels that I've been promoting recently. I'm not too sure if you've been subscribed to my channel enough to read the comment section. There's this community tab. The community tab is only received by the ones that are totally subscribed. So if anybody's comments there, I know you're totally subscribed. You get the notifications, know that stuff. I really do appreciate that, right? But there's Ike the Giant Killer, UBE, that's been also putting it down. And I've been promoting other little channels just because I don't care about competition. I'm not here to compete. I'm not here to make money. God forbid, right? I never tell anybody to like, subscribe, or comment. You guys do that on your own volition. Maybe that's working against me. Maybe if I told every single one of you guys to subscribe and like, maybe that would grow my channels, get me more subscribers. But if you choose to use your index finger to subscribe, it's because you're really feeling this channel. And that means so much to me and my cohorts. Arimeri says, I think you must have been Japanese in your previous life. Yeah, well, hope that's an honor. The Japanese are absolutely classy individuals that I fully respect. He needs to take notes from Miguel Cotto. Well, what do you mean? Just take a ass beating like he did at the hands of Margarito and get him? Yeah, 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 absolutely. First tour can be in Riyadh. Let's do it in Mexican G and Natty Medi. You know what, guys? I would encourage you guys to, I don't know, work together, maybe make like, if you guys don't, you guys can record some funny stuff. You work it out, just send it to each other, and they just make a, a little comedy skit. You guys would be absolutely in Rio. Oh God, come on. No, in New Orleans, but we have to tread lightly. Oh my God, Eddie, you're black comedy man. Okay, my condolences to everybody that passed away on the terrorist attacker, mass shooting or whatever it was that happened in New Orleans. Yep, I found out about it a little too late. I didn't delve too much into it because I think it was the homie Ricky sent me something and I saw and I said, yeah, it happens. And I moved on, right? That's all that I could do. What can we do? It happens too often for us to suffer and cry every single time somebody dies from a mass shooting. The only thing that we can do, ladies and gentlemen, is really cross our fingers and hope that we're not next. Yeah, we're gonna bring more laughter than Special Olympics. Listen to that, guys. Man, I'm telling you, you guys are legends. All right. Well, it's 9:30 in this part of the world, guys. I'm not too sure what part of the world you guys are in, but I'm sure that you guys want to do other stuff. I'm sure UBE wants to find the right one. I'm sure Mexican G is trying to save some money to go to Japan or go visit the pyramids in the lands of the Aztecs. I'm sure Mexican G and Natty Medi are plotting a way how to make money off of telling jokes. And of course, I know what Mr. Vince Vargas is doing. I know exactly what you've been doing, Mr. Vargas. I know what you've been looking at on that Facebook. Remember what I told you about manifestation? He asked me, Mr. Vince Vargas, he's a friend of mine, right, on the Facebook. And he sent me something. And man, guys, I can't talk about this, but it was beautiful. And I said, you should get that. I want you to get that. And he's like, I'm dreaming about it. I've been dreaming about it. And I told him, why don't you manifest it? And he's like, what is manifestation? And I told him, one of the easiest ways to manifest something is to pray for it, right? Pray, meditate on these things. But if you want to make one of your dreams a reality without you even being aware of it, this is a quick practice. Get a piece of writing paper and write something down that you want to accomplish, right? Let's say in my case, I need to lose like 10 pounds. So let's say that I said, I want to come down to 150 pounds, right? Let's just say something like that. You write it down and you post it up in a part of the wall or whatever, where as soon as you wake up, whatever you look at, whatever you turn, the first thing that is going to be seen is that phrase there, that paper. You're going to wake up, and whatever happens at the start of your day, you're going to run into that paper. You're going to look at the paper and you're going to read that paper. And because we are forgetful individuals, we get bored. What will happen is you're just going to look at the paper eventually. You're not even going to read the paper. But every single time you awaken, you're going to see that paper. Every single time you go to sleep, you're going to see that paper. And before long, without you even realizing it, it's going to hit you like a ton of bricks. The thing that you wrote down on that paper, you already have it. There's this famous story. I ran into it in this show called Unsolved Mysteries. And this young child, young girl, one of those tasks that they set you up right there at kindergarten, first grade. Draw a beautiful scenery. And this young lady, this young girl, she drew a scenery. She drew a house that was white with red frame windows and red border for the roof, and it had all of these windows, and it had this big old tree in the front, and then you had all these. It was just a very beautiful drawing, right? And her very first drawing, her parents, of course, kept it and they gave it to her and they framed it for her. And she went and she got married and so forth, but that picture always carried with her. So when she grew up, she moved, she always took that picture, she carried it with her. It was very beautiful. One day, she purchases a home with her husband. And she says she doesn't understand why, but after searching houses and houses, and she's seen so many beautiful houses, the one that she saw the day that she seen it, she said, that's my house, that's my house, this is my house, I need this house. They purchased that house, they got the house, everything happened, they lived in the house, they started to pack their stuff. They started to open up boxes and put in furniture. and she got to the box that contained that picture that she had framed, that she had drawn as a child, and she put it against the wall of her master bedroom. And she looked at it, and something came over her. She couldn't understand, but there was something that startled her about the image. And she says that she was just perplexed. She couldn't pull her eyes away from the image. And then she realized the house that she was living in was the house that she had painted, down to the red framed windows, the white paint, the big tree, everything that was on that drawing, 30-year-old drawing or whatever, was now her reality. That is manifestation. And I told Mr. Vince Vargas, right? You should manifest it. I went to a baseball game, I think it was last year. My compadre, who's basically that means the godfather of one of my children. He's an engineer, very respectful, very caring, good family man. I love him. I chose him because he is a great individual that if anything should happen to me when I pass, it will be on him to help raise my son. Right? That's the obligation, the responsibility that one takes on being a godfather. And he gave us these VIP tickets. Basically, they're like suites or whatever. They're on this special balcony, and people come and bring you food, and you don't have to go nowhere. You just raise your hand, snap your fingers, and somebody comes in, caters to your needs, right? And we sat right up there at the ledge, right up in the front. I think it was right on the side of it was on the side of first base, so it was on the right side, second floor. It was balcony seats, so we had the very first row of seats right there. It was my wife, my son, myself, my daughter, and next to my son and I was a man and his son. And we kicked it off real good, right? He was a white guy. We were talking, and the son was so cool. He was around my son's age. My son, I think, was 18 at the moment. This kid must have been around 20, and they were all having a good time. And we were talking, and we clicked about cars, right? He was fixing his car, some kind of a Ford with his son, and a Galaxy, I believe, up north somewhere, closer to San Francisco or otherwise. And I had told him that we had fixed a 68 Chevelle truck with my son. So it was like the perfect guy relationship, right? Like best friends forever. I probably should have gotten his phone number or something. I actually should have. But nonetheless, long story short, this kid, his son, he's just talking about how many baseball games they've been to. There have been about five of them, and he always brought his baseball glove, always brought his baseball glove. And he kept saying, one day I'm going to catch him, one day I'm going to catch him. And this day, he did not bring his baseball glove with him. Okay, UBE, thank you for visiting. I got a jet Spock warp speed. See you next time, and to all, live long and prosper. Good even fall to you, UBE. And the kid said, I'm going to catch a baseball. I'm going to catch a baseball. And I kid you not, guys, it must have been no less than, let's say, a minute or so, when all of a sudden a pop fly comes in our direction, right? Here comes this pop fly, guys. right in our direction. Good night, Arimeri. And it pops up real high and it's coming right at us. And I'm looking at it and I could stretch my hand. The kid is next to me. His father is adjacent to him. It's between me and him. But let's not kid ourselves. The ball was going right at him. I raised my hand, mostly in defense, but then I put it down because I know this ball is his. And he uses both hands to make a cup. Uses both hands like this. And he doesn't move, guys. He just stretches his hands like this. Puts his left to his right, makes a cup. And the ball, without moving, it just goes high and high and high. And it's going right down. And it lands in his hands. And it bounces off. And it falls down the balcony. He was almost fully manifesting the ball landing in his hands. And I seen his skin. He was white. It just became pale. And his father was like, "Oh my God." And the kid was just looking down at his hands like, "Where's the ball? Where's the ball?" And I was like, "My goodness, that was incredible." And he just kept looking at his hands. He's like, "The ball was mine. The ball was mine." And we were so excited for him because it was his lucky day. But he didn't come prepared. He didn't come prepared with the glove. In other words, he was prepared to manifest a reality, but he was not prepared for the manifestation. He knew how to make things real, but he wasn't prepared enough to accept that you have the power to make things real. The kid stayed silent for the most part. Little by little, as the game progressed, he started to become more chatty, but we were all bummed about it. But we started to talk about other things. His father bought him a beer. He got a little happier after that. But the last thing he said is like, "I had that ball. I had that ball." I go, "I know. That's why I didn't even reach for it. It was your ball." You have to be prepared, ladies and gentlemen. The moral of the story is you have to be prepared to change your life. You can change your life, but you have to be prepared for that change. Lina Sayed, she changed her life. When she met Devin Haney, she changed her life. She changed the emotions, the feelings that she had for young Thug in order to be with Devin Haney. She prepared for that change. Devin Haney, similarly, he changed his life, and his actions indicate that he's prepared for those changes. I wish every single one of you to not only change your life for the better, but to be prepared for it. Don't let change happen to you and catch you unawares. The lady, she manifested her reality, but she wasn't prepared for it. It still happened in her case, but you have to be prepared. Change for the better, ladies and gentlemen. Be prepared for everything. Mexican G. Progress is a process, absolutely. Good night, Arimedi. Good night, UBE. Good night, Mr. Vince Vargas. Good night, El Pachuco. To every single one of you out there that just hopped on for a couple of seconds, made my day with your jokes, commented your realities, made me think, and especially heard out my ramblings. I appreciate your consideration. But I do wish every single one of you not only to change, but to be prepared for what those changes entail. Be better, everybody. I wish you be well of health and the sane of mind for warp speed. And everybody out there in the world that wishes you the best. A rato. Engage.